not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's up, y'all? It is Tasha. I am back with another video. Thank you so much for stopping into my channel. If you are new here, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button below. If you are not new, welcome back. Y'all know how we get down. Drop down your comments in the comment section below so we can chat it up about the episode this week of Put a Ring on It. Let me grab my water, y'all, because my throat been a little itchy, scratchy with all the pollen. So just in case, we're going to have our water nearby. All right. But it is season 4, episode 4 of Put a Ring on It. So we're just going to jump right into what happened this episode, y'all. So y'all remember last week, Chance and Dunbar was playing in our face, playing on our TV. So now we have the 2 remaining couples coming to the group session, and Dr. Stacey lets them know that Chance and Dunbar has discontinued with the process. Everyone says they were kind of rooting for them, but Catherine says it shows that they were not committed to the process, and they weren't. We all know that. So Dr. Stacey says, some people are comfortable in the discomfort, and sometimes when you push, it may be too much. But relationship problems don't just disappear. They will follow you. And I'm like, can we get an amen, Dr. Stacey? Because I don't know who Chance and Dunbar think they're fooling, because they ain't fooling us. They just fooling themselves. Okay. So she lets them know that they can't continue with the 2 empty seats, and they have a new couple who is arriving, and we are introduced to Jasmine and Zay, who have been together 3 years. He slid in her DMs, and their first date was in Cancun. I said, now this is my kind of girl. We can get to know each other while we on vacation. All right. I'm laughing, but I'm not serious, but I'm also serious because it's a little crazy to do that. But also, I can't say I would not do it if I felt safe. Okay. So they are both entrepreneurs. One of Zay's business is a party stripping car wash, I think. Sounds very Atlanta. She says that she can come off a little bit. She says that he can come off a little bit selfish, and she is the one that wants to get married. And we actually see that, I believe it was on her birthday. She was like, oh, I just knew I was going to get engaged. And this man gives her the prettiest, nicest diamond promise ring. Sir, are we 16 years old that we giving grown people a promise ring? No, sir. If it ain't an engagement ring, don't give it to me. I don't want it. Okay. She says while they were in Cancun, this attractive woman came up to her and was like, hey girl, so is that your man over there? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, well, he just asked about my Instagram. And I was like, now, I guess Instagram is the new asking somebody for their phone number. I don't really understand at this point, but maybe I'm just completely missing the boat on that. But she didn't like it. She made him sleep outside in the hammock. Zay said it was actually Loki. I think that's what his alter ego is. And he said he had too much to drink. And basically it was like 30 something plus shots that he had with his cousin. So because of that, his alter ego Loki just came up out of him. But he says once he came back down to earth the next day, he apologized to her. Okay, so you don't know that maybe 30 plus shots is too much, and that's over your limit where you won't be able to control yourself, sir? Like, just say no. We learned about dare in school. Just say no, okay? So we catch up with how the dates went the previous week. Ricky tells us the date with his ex-wife was more like a meeting just to make sure they were on the same page with their son. And y'all, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when the ex-wife was talking last week, she was talking about kids, plural. And I thought early on we said Ricky only had one son. And now I was like, maybe I was mistaken previously. Maybe it's more than one child. But then when Ricky said again, just a son, I started thinking that maybe this whole situation with him staying the night at her place while she was out working or whatever she was doing, where I know I was like, well, can't the son just come to Ricky's house? I feel like she got other kids, and it probably was, I don't got nobody to watch these other kids, so I don't have nobody to watch your son either. So it's easier for you to come over here, you watching your son and you potentially watching my other kids. So it's easier for you just to spend a night because you ain't their daddy, and Catherine probably ain't gonna really be going for you bringing all my kids to y'all's house. That's what I was getting. Let me know if y'all picked up on that as well, okay? But he says that he was able to really see where some of the frustration was coming from on Catherine's side. Catherine said it was worth talking to her ex because she realized that, you know, the ex she dealt with Corey's ex and the mother of his children, she really did want him back in that situation. So that was definitely very different than the situation with Ricky and his ex-wife. So she realized, you know, it's not the same thing, and I really don't want to go through that again. So Jasha talks about the fear of the unknown because, you know, him and Joya met with Dr. Stacy last week. And he says, but ultimately he wants to be there for Joya and really help Joya because he really wants to be in her life and be with her. Joya says that because she was in such a control mode all the time, that it really kind of basically stifled her, and now she's finally just allowed herself to surrender and just be in the process, which Dr. Stacy says when you're trying to control everything, it doesn't allow the man to be fully who he is, and I do agree with that. So back with Jasmine and Zay, Jasmine shares that she's from Brooklyn. She's very much so naturally aggressive and controlling, so she can relate to both of the couples. She says she hears herself being controlling, but she just can't stop it, and Zay agrees. He also says that she really gives him a lot all at once, and it's hard for him because he really is just trying to juggle it all and really not mess up. And I'm like, but you can't control her. If she's being very controlling and giving you a whole lot and you just trying not to mess it up, like, you have to then tell her that, like, it's too much. Give me one thing at a time. Just let me lead or do this thing, and you have no control. Like, you're gonna have to really express yourself in that way, not just saying like, I either don't know what to do or just freeze up or whatever because you just don't want to mess it up. You can't live life that way, sir. So Jasmine and Zay will both go on first dates this week, since this is their very first time on the show. Catherine lets her know, girl, the men have been getting lucky. And I'm like, and they have. I don't know why they've been doing the girls like this, but the men have been getting some great women. Jasmine is definitely nervous about it. Joya and Jasha will go on new dates this week. Catherine will also get a new first date, and we know Ricky will get a second date with Sheila. Catherine says she is still trying to understand what he is looking for going on a second date with Sheila because, you know, initially he said no, and then when Dr. Stacy asked him about it, he changed his mind and said yes. And Catherine thinks it's him people pleasing, and I think it's him saying yes because he initially wanted to say yes to a second date. So him saying no would have been the people pleasing, as in pleasing you. Him saying yes, I believe in this circumstance, is him pleasing himself. He just felt okay with saying yes because Dr. Stacy said something to him about it. So therefore, he wouldn't feel as guilty just saying yes and possibly hurting Catherine's feelings. So at Zay and Jasmine's house, we see Jasmine is getting ready for her first date. She asks if there's any boundaries. He says, you know, no kissing, no touching, no booty grabbing. Like, sir, she ain't gonna be doing all that. And then she tells him that whatever boundaries she has, he also has for his dates as well. She also tells him that there is a 1 drink maximum. And from the drunk Cancun story we heard, he needs only 1 drink on these dates because he can't control his liquor. Jasmine date Jeremy shows up in his tight little turtleneck with all his muscles showing, child. He ain't that cute to me, but she thought he was attractive, okay? Zay says he must have did, 30 or 50 push-ups and found the tightest, smallest shirt that he could find to show all of his muscles. I said I thought the same thing, Zay, okay? But Zay says they all need to take a shot before they leave, and I was like, I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean, of possibly getting the party started for your girl and her date, but okay. It seems like Jeremy didn't really drink, but he was like, I ain't no punk, I'm gonna take one for the team. So they do a toast, and Jeremy toasts to new beginnings, and I was like, wow. We then see Zay being petty, trying to look at the outdoor camera because he's like, he don't really trust him. And I was like, I was a little leery too with Jeremy and that little tight turtle. Like, it was too tight, sir. With the amount of muscles you have, anything you put on, we would be able to see your muscles. The tightness of this turtleneck was not necessary, not at all, okay? We then see Jasha goes on a date with Brittany. She says she's a CEO and booking agent and brand consultant. She says she's the type of woman that makes other women step it up or step aside. I was like, well, okay then, girl. They go to a candle making class. Jasha says, you know, this is she's really cute and she's the type of woman that he would hang out with if he was single. So they pick out scents for their candles. She's flirting a little bit. He says it's making him feel a little bit uncomfortable. He says he's really a big believer in energy and she has good energy. So it made it that much easier for him to be able to loosen up around her. And it just felt cool to have good conversation. He tells her how he and Joya got to this step in their relationship and how he isn't quite ready to jump into marriage and kids again. She continues to flirt. And I mean, she's flirting a little bit heavy for it to just be the first date with the two of them, like touching his beard, touching on his arms and stuff. And I was like, girl, watch it. That's Joya's man. Like, don't cross. It'll be different if y'all had a few dates and y'all was feeling each other. But this is just the first date. Take it easy, ma'am. Take it easy. But Jasha says that Joya might have a little competition. So I said, oh, excuse me, sir. What? She definitely inflated his ego just a little bit. He liked it. So now we see Jasmine on her date with Jeremy. They're at a bar and she's interested in getting to know his personality because she's like, you can be as fine as you want to be, but if your personality ain't hitting on nothing, then you ain't hitting on nothing. But he lets her know that he is a trainer and a promoter. And I said, as everybody is in Atlanta, okay? But with him working in the nightlife, it's already giving her red flags because she already had to deal with that with Zay. But he lets her know, but I'm also working on another venture. You know, hear me out. I want to cook. And she's like, ooh, you cook? You want to cook for people? That's great. But I want to do it, you know, first he said with no shirt on and an apron. And then he was like with no clothes on and the apron. And she's like, excuse me, I don't want no pubic hair in my food. And I was like, same, girl, same. Like, why do we need that? Who asked for that? Not me. And I'm getting so upset with y'all continuing to giving these women terrible dates. He said, she asked him, you know, so what would happen if you was doing that and you had a girlfriend? He's like, oh, she could tag along. You know, we could just make a whole business out of it. And my thought was, how about you just cook with clothes on like normal people? Because that's a thought. Why do we have to do it essentially naked just because you got muscles, sir? Okay. Jasmine says it's really hard to trust a man that says everything you want to hear because, you know, her date was laying on just a little bit thick. It definitely sounds like he has a way with words and is telling her all the things that he knows a woman would want to hear. But I'm not 100% convinced that he actually feels that way on his own. Just me. So we see Ricky is on his second date with Sheila. They are at a little Creole restaurant. He tells us that he wanted another date because she is beautiful, funny, and she is definitely his type. They eat and she feeds him some of her food off of her fork because he wanted to taste it. And initially Ricky was like, nah, I probably shouldn't be doing that. And she was like, it's just food. You're just tasting it. So he ends up eating it. And I was like, Ricky, wrong road. In my Portia voice, wrong road, Ricky. She asks if her personality is too much for him. He says no. Ricky says he's really surprised at how easy it is to be around Sheila. Yeah, because y'all really don't know each other. It's always easy in the beginning, as it should. He asks her what are some things she would want him to do if they were together. She says it's really the small things that matter the most. And then they both realize they are Capricorns. And she's like, oh, you just might be a little bit crazy like me. And then she starts to feel him a little bit more. And she says there's definitely some attraction there. And I was like, girl, what are y'all finding attractive about Ricky? Somebody help me help you. What are y'all finding attractive about Ricky? Girl, Ricky says the date was amazing, but it really may be getting too cool and he hopes he doesn't get in trouble. So back at Joya and Jasha's place, she is doing yoga as he's getting back from his day, and he brought back the candle that he made, and he says she named my candle and I named her candle. We found out that Brittany named his candle Experience with an X, and I said, now that could be a little bit twofold and that could be a little bit shady, okay? But we're going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide all in good fun. He says that he named her candle Flow because he said he was just going with the flow. But Joya is like, I got a sneaky suspicion something else was happening on this date. Like, I just feel like you leaving out some details. And he tells her, you know, she was flirting a little bit, but he left it at that, and he didn't include how Brittany was kind of touching on him. But child, Joya, if she don't know nothing, she knows her man, and she is like, what is he hiding? Because I just know something else is going down. And I'm just like, Jasha, just tell her. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal, because it's not like you really leaned into what your date was doing. But, you know, the cameras were following you. She will see this on television. So it just seems to just behoove you to just go ahead and tell her, is my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I think you should do. So Ricky comes back from his date as Catherine is outside walking the dog. They talk about the date, and she says she's a little bit nervous. He tells her that Sheila is just easy to talk to, and if you can have good conversation, you can have a great date. He said that she tried to feed him, and I said, no, she didn't try to feed you. She did feed you, sir. And Catherine doesn't know how to feel about that. And he was like, well, I just kind of wanted to loosen up a little bit. I wanted to do things, you know, something different than I did on the first day. And Catherine feels that he has crossed a boundary, but he doesn't feel like it was being disrespectful at all. Now, I can't remember. I thought they didn't. No, I would think it was Dunbar and Chance that said no boundaries. I can't remember. But I don't remember what boundaries they set for each other. But I'm like, if no feeding was on it, then Ricky, yes, you crossed the line. But if y'all didn't necessarily state, then Catherine, you're going to have to let this one fly, okay? But she says it has definitely changed how she will go on dates moving forward. And I'm like, please don't say we about to do this tit for tat nonsense of you did that, so the next day I go on, I don't care if I'm feeling the guy or not, I'm going to be a little bit extra because you was a little bit extra. Like, let's not do that. So over at Zay and Jasmine's house, they're getting ready to have a session with Dr. Stacy one-on-one, and she comes in with her badass orange outfit. Like, yeah, Dr. Stacy be dressing, and I be here for it, okay? She tells him that she really likes him, and it seems like they really enjoy each other organically. So they talk about Jasmine having to guide him a little bit, and he lets us know that kind of that's because he was single for 7 years before he jumped into the relationship with Jasmine. So he basically was trying to get used to actually having somebody in his life. Jasmine says that there are no boundaries with his friends because one of his friends actually makes her feel uncomfortable. And one time they got into it a little bit, and he said he would slap Jasmine. And I said, excuse me? If one of your little friends say they will put hands on me, I'm going to need you to handle that. Okay? Because no, that's just not going to go down. She ends up letting us know that Zay and the friend worked it out, and the friend apologized to Zay, but the friend never came back to apologize to her. And I'm like, Zay, as a man, you should have checked that and tell him that he had to go back to your lady and tell her that he was sorry, because that's not like, that would then be someone that I can't trust to be around my partner. And if I can't trust you to necessarily be around the person that I'm in love with and I'm going to be with, then I'm really going to have to question where you stand in my life, period. Because that was just too much. She says she can't compete with his friends, and it bothers her because they do what they want, and she doesn't feel like he necessarily comes to her rescue. And he says that she shouldn't feel that way. And Dr. Stacy immediately stops him and was like, you have to allow her to feel however she wants to feel. And then the episode goes off. We see a little bit of the previews, and next week we'll see Joya and Catherine and Zay's first date. And then it looks like Catherine is going off on Ricky for whatever reason. And I'm fine. I'm ready to see her give us some type of emotion. I'm ready to see these two do something, because I just still don't see it for the two. I don't see how they are in this relationship, because they just don't seem like they go together. It's just not giving me relationship vibes. It's giving me friend zone vibes from the two of them. So we'll see what happens next week. Y'all drop y'all thoughts in the comments below of the episode this week, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace.